Welcome to another all factuals video. So this one is not going to be specifically about a comic book, but I have been playing Marvel Rivals. Now you're going to see probably some random gameplay that I've been playing. I main as a Groot. I'm a Groot Lord, and by the time this video comes out, I'm going to be Plat 3. The game has not, well, at least first season has only been available for I think about like 3 weeks now. So getting to Plat 3 within 3 weeks in the grand scope of things is actually pretty good. And I'm not like a super heavy gamer like I used to be, but this game is actually pretty enjoyable and fun. I do have some discrepancies about the algorithm and the gameplay and some other stuff, but that's fine. I want to spend this video particularly, this is for mainly people who main DPSs, but you know, obviously this is for everyone. I want people to understand in Marvel Rivals what the point of each character is in terms of their position, whether you're playing tank, DPS, or support. So I'm not going to get into any extra. Let's get right into it. Now I main a tank, I secondary a support, and then third I can play DPS, but I'm not strong at DPS, not so much for aiming, it's just not my play style. But number one, I'm going to get into tank. Tank is the front line and space creator. Their primary job is, and remember these are multiple jobs, primary jobs are to absorb damage, initiate fights, and create space for the team. Now their key responsibility is to engage and disrupt enemies, protect allies by drawing fire and using defensive abilities, and control objectives and hold key positions. Now a huge misconception that people have about tanks, and this is something that I've dealt with relatively recently, is that people think tanks should just take damage and die. But a good tank knows like when you have to mitigate damage, when you have to disengage, when you have to re-engage, and you have to do it effectively. So sometimes you're going to have to protect yourself in order for you to disengage and then be able to regroup or do what you need to do and then re-engage the fight at a later point to make sure you can do something more effectively. So I did have a game where I was playing Groot. Like I said, I'm Lord Groot. I'm not saying that as like I'm the best Groot on the planet Earth, but I put in a lot of hours. And somebody on the team was just like, bro, why are you like putting walls to protect yourself? I'm not supposed to keep dying. That doesn't make sense. If I'm not in the front lines, then, you know, I can't help you. But, you know, just to prove a point, I stopped protecting the team because I'm just like, okay, do you want to play this game? And they quickly found out when I don't do my job, then the team does fall apart because now they're able to put out damage, and I absorbed like 70k worth of damage in the game, and we lost the round. It was a close game because we won one round, the other team won one round, and we went into overtime. So even though it's not, yes, I'm supposed to absorb damage, I'm not going to absorb damage just to keep dying. So that's what a tank is supposed to do. Those are the primary functions, key responsibilities, and common misconceptions. 2, DPSs, the killers and the pressure dealers, right? Their primary job is to secure eliminations and deal sustained or burst damage. Now their key responsibilities are to focus down high value targets like healers or fragile damage dealers. So basically people who are weak, who are about to die, they need to secure the kills. They need to apply pressure so enemies can't push forward freely, and need to follow up on the tank with initiations and capitalize on openings. So I'm going to describe it as if I'm playing a game. If I'm Groot, right? Ultimately, I'm using my walls to separate the back line from the front line as best as I possibly can to make sure I can set picks for my team so that way the DPS can kill. If there's no follow-up, then now they're shredding through my walls, and then I'm taking more damage than I should be because the kills are not being secured the way they should be. Or they're not diving or taking out the back line or targeting their healers to relieve pressure off our front line so that way we can aggressively keep pushing. So that's what an issue is for DPSs. Now also another common misconception, or 2 other common misconceptions, is that some DPS players think they could just go out solo and, you know, do whatever they want. No, teamwork is key. You have to coordinate with your tanks as well as stay in position so that way the healers can heal you as well. They also should position wisely and coordinate with everyone because it would be to their benefit. If they don't know what's going on, they don't know when and when not to ult, or when and when not to waste their ults. So that is something that is ridiculously annoying when you're playing on a team and people think as a tank you're just supposed to die, as a DPS you're supposed to just get kills. No, there's actually a science to your positioning, what you're supposed to do in that given role. And last but definitely not least is support. Now they're sustainers and utility players. Basically, they heal, they buff, they provide utility to keep the team alive. Now the key responsibilities in order is they heal tanks, then they heal DPSs to keep them in the fight. Remember, the tanks are the front line. You use crowd control or buffs to support the engagement. Basically, they heal us or they buff us in order to keep the engagement. Like you have Rocket, who he will amplify. He can heal as well, but he will amplify so that way the DPSs and the tanks attacks are much stronger, so that way we can get the final kills we need to push forward. It doesn't matter how much damage we do, we have to get final kills, and support helps us secure those final kills by buffing us or healing us, allowing us to continue the fight longer. And also they position wisely to stay alive so that way they can maximize the team benefits. So healers should not be so far behind, but also they shouldn't be so far away from wherever the rest of the team is. They move with the team. We move as a unit. Now, once again, common misconceptions about, what they do is some players think supports exist only to heal. And they often have like these really cool abilities. Like I said, Rocket, who can increase your strength, or Storm as a DPS can increase your strength as well. But also those abilities can stack with, let's say you've increased the team's abilities, but then Rocket did his ult and everyone gets a power boost. Now you're stacking abilities. So they have key abilities and shields and just random things that can help us secure the win for the game. Now, just so everyone is clear, because I'm making a quick video about this. When you're playing Marvel Rivals as a team, whether you're in bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and I'm pretty sure everyone above diamond and grandma, they should understand this, is that these are how the roles work together. Tanks create space, DPSs capitalize on that space, the support keeps everyone alive and functioning to make sure that we can secure whatever we need to secure. If the tanks die early, the DPS and the supports are vulnerable, which means you're going to be taking a lot of damage and dying. If the DPSs don't follow up, then that means the tank's efforts are useless. They're wasted. If the support dies, the whole team crumbles. So in terms of importance on the team, support is the most important. The tank is the second most important. DPSs are the third most important. So make sure that you're following kind of this structure when you're playing the game. Now, obviously you can make adaptations to how things maneuver, because yes, the game itself is meant to be played a little bit more like, okay, well, let's see what works and what doesn't work. But in reality, the tanks need to stay alive and the DPSs need to follow up. It doesn't matter how much damage you're outputting in Marvel Rivals, you need to have final kills, final hits. And if you're not getting the kills at the right time, it doesn't matter how many, hits or how many kills you get. If you're not getting them where you need to get them, you can still lose the game. I've seen and also been a part of games where you can have 30 something kills, 40 something kills, but then you still lost the game. The stats don't mean anything if there's no follow-up in the right way. So hopefully this will go out to the people it needs to go out with. Hopefully it'll go out to the people, some of the people I've solo queued with who just have no understanding of what each role is supposed to do and how they're supposed to react. Just like how healers, if they're dying, they're perfectly allowed to disengage to keep themselves alive, because if they're dead, they can't keep anybody else alive, because that means they're no longer on the field. And just like a DPS, if somehow they're taking damage, they could disengage as well. But the whole point is to regroup at some point and keep moving as a unit. So that's kind of what I wanted to make this video about. Please stop all this craziness about, DPSs. It's mostly DPSs, which is crazy. Sometimes y'all are not outputting enough. Sometimes y'all are not, y'all don't get the heals because you're venturing off on your own. Move as a tight unit and things will be okay. But this applies not just to DPSs or people who main DPSs. This applies to everyone. A well-balanced team plays off of each other and they do it well. If one role isn't doing their job properly, the entire team is going to struggle. Thank you. Have a lovely day.